Testing, testing. Daniel, can you hear me back there?
I can hear you.
All right, good.
I just can't hear everybody else in there yet.
Yes, because their mics are muted.
Perfect. Okay.
Chairman Michael Ebler calling Daniel Prado.
Hello.
Now, can you hear me now?
I can hear you loud and clear.
All right, good.
This is too cool.
Okay, good morning to you all. Welcome to the continuation of our May quarterly meeting with the RCT. And this is once again our first hybrid broadcast format meeting. And so we welcome those around the state that are watching us on the screen. And we're grateful to be able to actually present to you us in person, or at least on screen in person, and show that have a more transparent meeting so you guys can see what we're up to, and literally, and participate. And we're really excited about this new era in the RCT quarterly meeting. So we're grateful to have y'all on with us. So thanks for that. It looks like we will have Commissioner representing employers Aaron Demerson joining us sometime this morning. I don't know if that will be virtual or in person. It says in person on paperwork, but of course, anytime he is available, we'll clear the floor for him, and love to hear what he has to say. He's always got very positive, uplifting information to share with us, and we look forward to hearing from him. So be prepared. We'll just continue forward with our meeting, and if Commissioner Demerson arrives and is ready to speak, we'll certainly break for him and make room for that. So we look forward to that. Having said that, is Jennifer Klaus available to discuss the RCT member training? She might be virtual. I don't see her in the room. Ms. Godwin, do you have any idea about Ms. Klaus?
Ms. Klaus is rejoining the meeting as a panelist. Give her about 2 minutes.
Okay. Commissioner, pleasure to see you.
Hi, can y'all hear me?
Yeah, Jennifer, if you wouldn't mind, the commissioner just arrived, and we'd love to welcome him and hear from him. If you wouldn't mind yielding just briefly, we'd appreciate it. Thank you so much. Commissioner Demerson,
right,
welcome.
What a way to start the morning. So
No,
You're up.
you're perfectly free to roll in and roll out whenever you need to.
we're family. So what time is it right now?
You're late.
No, what time is it?
9:03.
So my agenda says Aaron's gonna be at 9:10. So
You are early.
I'm early. So according to me, I can get 9:09 and I'm on time from that point. But delighted to be here this morning. And Lake and I were dropping down. I was like, "Okay, I have a little time to come in and do that." But didn't want you guys to interrupt the meeting for me at all. So, but I appreciate you doing it because I'm not on a schedule or anything. I'm going to spend a little time with you, and then to visit. And, just to say, first of all, Texas, things are booming in our state. It's been pretty amazing. And let me even back up and say it's great to see you guys in person, first of all. I mean, that's we're here virtually, and congratulations on making that happen. Cheryl, thanks for making it happen in a big way. But Texas is booming. We've got an opportunity to get out in the communities. We just got off the road coming in from Elkhart, Texas. How many of you guys have heard of Elkhart, Texas? Oh, okay, I'm impressed. But we were in Elkhart, Texas, giving a JET grant for their ag program where kids are learning welding and the like, and then went over to Kilgore College, KC, where the Fireman's Academy is being awarded with a JET grant. And before that, in Abilene, Texas, Cheryl's neck of the wood as well. But things are just going in some amazing ways. And we've been very, very impressed with the activities that are taking part in this state. And you guys are a big part of that. So I wanted to, first of all, just say thank you for the work that you guys are doing. We do that every time we have an opportunity to address you guys. We do say thank you. We appreciate it. We don't take the work that you're doing for granted at all. And so I've had a phenomenal time visiting with folks in the disability space. We were, James with Bloom Consulting, I brought down this deal there. If you guys hadn't seen it, but we were able to honor Bloom Consulting with the We Hireability check. This was one that was heartfelt. This was one that was pretty special and pretty fantastic. And so, sure, thank you and your team for getting that going. James, thank you for being there. Was delighted to have a member of the RCT at this event. And so I want to make it a point that whenever I'm out at events that are rehireability, for sure, if we're in your neck of the woods, that you guys are there. I want to be in a position to really bring you and showcase. And we don't do it but to bring attention to us individually. We do it because once we're doing things like this, other companies begin to jump on that train. They begin to ask questions about us. They begin to understand it. And so we want to make sure that we're doing our part to get that word out. I represent the employers here at the state level, and we want to make sure that other employers are aware of it. We were not only with Bloom Consulting, but we were actually in the Valley as well, Evelyn Cano in that community, where we were basically at a job fair, hiring care, folks with disabilities, well attended, a phenomenal event that, again, another heartfelt event where you would have been amazed at what was out there, the dedication of the hotel, giving up the space from that standpoint, and just the community coming together to really make a difference. And the recipients were those students, those individuals that were looking for employment opportunities that were well received from that standpoint. And looking at my notes here, that even, and then Commissioner Alvarez was just recently talking to me about the robotics event that he was doing for the deaf. I mean, that's something that's just amazing. I think he was behind the We Hireability concept from that standpoint, but to take that even a step further to get robotics in that community is pretty special. And so commending the work and the efforts that are taking place there. And so in partnership, we're going to really push these things. He was with me at the event in the Valley, well received the event, and that community just came out in big ways. And then lastly, I was sharing with Cheryl that I've had an opportunity to go out to various workforce solution offices, and the coaches that are out there, the vocational rehab coaches, job coaches, the individuals in that space, passionate about what they're doing in ways that are pretty phenomenal. That does my heart well to see how emphatic they are and passionate about the jobs they're doing. You know, sharing with Cheryl, we're going to take advantage of that. And so I think you guys should know them if you don't already. Really tapping into that population base that's excited about helping our VR customers. And so, James, thank you for being there with Bloom as well. I mean, when you were there for that meeting, it meant a lot from that standpoint. But going back, getting out there, those job coaches, those folks in that space, we want to play a role in that area as well. And Madison Crawford, that's a young lady that I met that's recently on board, and the passion that she has, and I will get Cheryl introduced to her. It just bodes well for us as we're moving forward with folks that are playing a role in this space. And then good meeting with you, Mr. Powell, as well. And so I mean, the relationships that we're forming, the chairman, we're going to get him out on some of these tours that we're doing or so, because again, it provides a spotlight on what's happening here, what we're doing, and together we begin to make a big difference. Something I was most proud of at the event in the Valley, I picked up information, and then there was an event in Houston. Sure, which event was that, Melinda and I? The Employer Forum in Houston. That's one that I don't want to forget as well. Picked up so much information there in terms of when you're introducing yourself, you introduce yourself because someone may not see you in that sense, and you're giving them your descriptions and the like. And that was kind of fun because sometimes you're all out, you're exposing yourself in all types of ways, but it was pretty amazing. But I signed my name when I introduced myself, and I was just enjoy the giving back and the learning that we're doing from that standpoint. But I'll end it with what I started with, and that's just to thank you guys for the work that you're doing. We don't take it for granted. The volunteer efforts are sincere. As an employer, anybody that's an employer out there, thank you for what you're doing to make a difference in that space. In our office, I failed to mention Lake Todd, there's a policy director in our office on the team there. But anything that we can do is we're going out traveling, getting out. We're going to make sure that we're working with Cheryl, Melinda, and that team in the community, and then making sure that you guys are a part of anything that we're doing, from an employer standpoint, and we're in your neck of the woods, then we'd love for you guys to join in with what we're doing. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'll turn it back over to you guys to give you guys some minutes in your meeting, and appreciate the opportunity. And congratulations, Larry Temple, our former executive director, would always say that folks with disabilities are the true problem solvers in the world. They do some things that we can only imagine. And when I was in Houston, I was sharing with them, I was trying to get to the event. I was ahead of schedule, making my way. I was real proud of that fact, only to find out that I couldn't find the keys to the car. So I spent a little time trying to do that or what have you. And then finally did it and got there. And I shared that story with the group, but it put it all into perspective for me in regards to what I'm fumbling around with the keys, trying to do that. But the other folks are doing a whole lot more, showing up on time and taking care of business in ways that we can only imagine. So again, thank you guys for all that you do. I'll entertain any questions or comments real quick and go from there. But we're going to continue to do the good work that we're doing here in Texas. We're doing some amazing things in the state. Governor Abbott's leadership is phenomenal. He gives us the green light to take care of business, and we want to play in that space as much as we can.
Well, thank you, Commissioner Timerson, very much for your kind words and appreciation of the council and us and the work we do. And we appreciate it in recognizing some companies bloom and rehirability. And that's great. You're a put your money where your mouth is kind of guy. And we really appreciate that. You actually don't just come up here and talk about it. You come back with results and show that things are getting done. And we appreciate it very much. So thanks for that. I think the vice chair might have a question for you.
You were mentioning like going out to the Bloom Consulting and things like that and the events in Houston. How do we get notified of those? Am I supposed to be on a listserv or something where we could go out and where we could come out and be with you guys?
So as I was thinking about that, even in my office, we're going to better coordinate with Cheryl's team and really get it to a point where I'm making sure that she's aware, her team's aware of where we're going, and then that communication will go out to this team on whatever Cheryl thinks we need to do in terms of, I don't want to usurp anything in her area, but I think coordinated, we'll be in a position to get that. And even if I have the list, I'm going to make sure that I have the list of the RCT members. And if I'm in their respective community on events, I may just give you a call. Just say, we have something going on and come on over to do that. The more structured events, and so you'll be notified officially the right way. And we'll do that coordinating with Cheryl and her team to make sure that happens. So,
that would be great. I know that members would probably appreciate being invited and feel privileged to show and actually show and have a great experience and be able to bring that back to us and show us, as you do, that things are actually getting done. So that would be great. That we would appreciate it. So
yeah, I was at Alonzo and Pearland. It's a biomanufacturing firm that they have there going and blowing in that community. And so, but as we're there, you have a lot of jobs that are there, but it's okay to have someone from this commission, the RCT on board or this community, so that we were the HR employee and he was walking around and everything. And so there's an opportunity there to really, because it's an awareness type deal. He's aware of it from that point. He's in his mind, he's thinking of the positions that they have and the ability to hire folks in that space as well. So I think it's more of doing that and connecting with you guys. You can tell the story better than I can from that point, and you'll be in a position to really advocate for the community. And I look forward to making those things happen.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. I also wanted to make you aware, and you may or may not be aware, this is our first, well, first of all, that you're aware this is our first meeting back together in person, which we're all grateful for, but we're also, this is our first hybrid broadcast meeting where we've got a couple, a few members off site still, which is fine. We've made the technology we've used through the COVID nightmare was something that actually taught us we can use electronics to carry on our business, which is great. And then we are broadcast to, I'm not sure how many there are today, but many people around the state because of our large area and of our state. And we are able to reach and broadcast to people all over the state today. So thank you for being here with us today and being part of that, our first hybrid broadcast meeting, I call it.
You guys are taking care of business and like those booklets, there's some booklets that I kind of share with you guys. Texas recently received the Governor's Cup 10 years in a row. We received that. And so here one, Mr. Chairman, and you can kind of share those with the members.
Okay.
But on that front page is a picture of 10 Governor Cups that we won. And that's a quite impressive record. No other state's done that. But that'll kind of give you some of the economic development, workforce, and education efforts that are taking place in our state. 18 years in a row that we've been named as the best state for business. And that comes across very well. We're a younger population. We're fast growing population, home to a number of businesses that are here, African-American women businesses, veteran-owned women businesses, and the like. And we always say that some people might call that bragging, but in Texas, we say it ain't bragging, it's true.
That's right. If it's true, it's not. Yeah.
Talk about that. And those are just some examples of what's happening, but I pass that out because it's a reflection of what's happening across the state in various communities. And before you guys leave, we'll make sure that everybody has a copy of it. So we have some more upstairs. I just had to grab a few, but that's happening right here in the state, in the communities. And again, I want you guys to continue to be a part of that. And the way we collaborate is the way that we continue to make progress. And so it's continue to do that. Any other questions, thoughts, or comments or so? I'm excited. I think this is good work in our state. There's a lot of activity, a lot of opportunities as well. And feel free to reach out to our offices directly through Shuro, through Melinda, contact anybody that we have from that standpoint. Let's sit down and collaborate and really do things that make a difference. And I enjoy meeting with you and doing what you guys are doing as well, but just kind of getting to know you guys and what efforts are those that are out there. And then I'll zip it with this. If you have any ideas, suggestions, those kind of things that make it even better, we're all ears and open for receiving that input so that we can continue to make a difference, because we don't know it all at all.
Well, thank you, Commissioner. We know that you leave that door open, and not only when you hear things, when you hear input from us, you guys actually do stuff. So do something about it, which is important, and so we appreciate that. So I also wanted to say we're in your hall here, your room, your building, and what we know how important you are because your name is on a plaque up there on the wall. So and you're have to come down and sit at our table down here. We appreciate you coming down and letting us borrow your room, if you will. Your
people's room, it's your room.
Well, I guess it's all of our room, right?
That's right.
So but anyway, we're glad you're here. Thanks so much for taking time out of your busy day to do it and join us in our first hybrid broadcast meeting. And we look forward to many more meetings, might be with another chair, but my tenure is about coming up. So we'll carry forward with one of these great individuals here as the leader, and everything will move forward, and we'll look forward to continue working with you. So thanks so much for your time and coming.
And thank you for your leadership. And I know, as I said, these are relationships that we'll have forever. So depending on, chairs rotate or however that happens, again, these are relationships for the future. And we want to make sure that we're continuing that, but we don't take the leadership that you exhibited, that you've done for granted. And again, congratulations on you guys for getting into this day number 2 of a hybrid meeting that's taking place. And I know this is Friday, the last day. It's beautiful Chamber of Commerce weather out there.
That's right.
You guys safe traveling back to your respective locations, and sure, congratulations to you guys for being able to to keep this moving, even with this pandemic, and we're getting back to a little bit of an analysis. But out in the hinterlands out there in Texas, we're all in going and blowing, and we want you guys to be there with us. You guys are already there with us, but let's just do even more as we push forward. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for the
Commissioner.
opportunity. Nice seeing everyone as well.
Nice to see you too. Thank you so much for being here.
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to say
Certainly.
that we already have Lisa Gibbons, who's on the line queued up to make sure that she sends all notices about future rehireability events to Lisa G. And so we are on it. We will make sure that you are invited in advance to events in your area. And
See
we
how
will get the
quickly,
commissioner
see how
involved.
quickly y'all operate? I
Since
mean,
sure just made my
we-
job that much easier.
we can't even have to ask a second time. Yeah.
Miss Fuller
Anyway.
puts her fairy dust over it. and
That's
then-
right.
The whole team
And it gets-
that has fairy dust. That's right.
Something else. Thank you very much, Mr. Commissioner. Thanks for the economic book. Economic Development Guide. Anyway, okay, to Ms. Klaus, are you available to continue on?
Yes, good morning. Let me start my video here. One moment. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yes.
All right, fantastic. So I wanted today, I'm filling in for Karen. And I'm so disappointed that I can't be with you all there in the room today, but I am going to be able to be with y'all in the room at our strategic planning meeting. So I'm very excited about that. And that's what I want to talk to you all about today. Just give you some high level information, more detail on the meeting, and also how we recommend that you prepare for that meeting in July. So I'm going to share my screen for a moment. I put together, I think there's like 3 slides, very brief. So bear with me. How's that? So the event is scheduled for July 13th. We are going to have that at Morgan's Wonderland in San Antonio, Texas. The hotel is Hyatt Place, which is in the Aquarium Market. I don't think Elizabeth's on. She's more familiar with the area in San Antonio. But if I remember correctly, it's in between Morgan's Wonderland and the River Rock area. So we'll have access to both those areas, which is good. And our facilitators are going to be Pat Tomlinson and Tom Jennings. What I'd like to do is just take a moment to read their bios. They're pretty brief, so you all can have an idea of the caliber and the quality of the facilitators. So let me pull this up, and I'm just going to briefly read through this if you don't mind. So Pat Tomlinson, she has a long and varied history with public vocational rehabilitation program in New Jersey and also nationally. She was an employee of the New Jersey General Agency for 24 years, serving as a counselor, field supervisor, and in a variety of positions in the administrative office, including statewide training director, the coordinator of the Deaf and Hard of Hearing program, evaluation unit, grants writer, and executive assistant to the agency director. Since her retirement from New Jersey VR, she's been self-employed rehabilitation consultant. In that capacity, she provides management consultation services, training, conference coordination, and staff support in areas of vocational rehabilitation policy and program management, compliance with the Vocational Rehabilitation Act of 1973 as amended, evaluation, and strategic planning. As a consultant to the George Washington University TACE program, she's provided technical assistance and training to Delaware, Maryland, Pennsylvania, District of Columbia, Virginia, and West Virginia State Rehabilitation Councils. She's also coordinated, co-edited annual editions of the Institute of Rehabilitation Issues. And currently, she serves on the New Jersey State Rehabilitation Council. And she's been active with the National Coalition of State Rehabilitation Councils since its inception, and she currently serves on the board of directors. So as you can see there that Pat has some very good experience in this space. Now, I'd like to also read for you Tom Jennings, his bio. He's been employed with the New Jersey Division of Vocational Rehabilitation Services for 42 years, the last 15 as state director. Over the years, he served as counselor, supervisor, manager, director of staff development and training, chief of program planning, development and evaluation, executive assistant, and state agency director. After retirement, he consulted with George Washington University TASTE program, providing technical assistance and training to SRCs in their 6-state region. He's a longtime member of the Council of State Administrators for Vocational Rehab. He's chaired several standing committees, served as president, was on the executive committee. As CSAVR president, he worked with RSA, Department of Labor, and CSAVR in developing position papers and guidelines for developing effective partnerships between VR and one-stop agencies at the state level. As state New Jersey VR director, he served as ex officio member of the State Rehabilitation Council, the State Independent Living Council, and was the chair of the Disability Issues Committee of New Jersey's Workforce Investment Board. He's currently a member of the New Jersey SRC, and he's been active with the National Coalition of Rehabilitation Councils since its inception, and he currently serves on its board of directors as well. So I wanted to give you all just that those bios, because you can see that they're very experienced, very great qualifications to be our facilitators. So their role was really going to come in to help us set our goals, plan out what strategies and activities we can take as a council for 2023. So I'm excited about the session. Now, Karen's put together some documents rather. I don't know if they're in the binder or if they're going to be shared with you in a separate email. But these documents, we've put together some information for you that we believe will be helpful in preparing for the planning session in July. So what I've outlined here on this slide is basically just a high-level overview of what those documents, the content, what they contain. We've put some information around the purpose of strategic planning. And we've taken some language from the State Rehabilitation Council, Vocational Rehabilitation Partnership, and WIOA. And in that document, it gives a historical account of the SRC and the VR partnership and collaboration. It talks about the SRC as the consumer voice. It also outlines the 1998 amendments and the SRCs, and really how the strengthening of the SRC's role came about with those amendments. The 2014 amendments and SRCs really, in those particular amendments, it really talks to the quality employment outcomes and transition services for youth with disabilities. And also in those documents, strategic planning as a tool to help SRCs really conduct their business throughout the year. In those documents as well, we've outlined requirements and the role of the State Rehab Council, which it outlines specific role of the council, how members are appointed, and what group they represent, and also frequency of meetings. So there's some good information for you all to prepare. So we recommend you read through those documents before our July meeting. Also, we have some information on the committees and their roles specifically, and we've taken that information from the bylaws, which gives you the overview of purpose, the roles and requirements, of course, under the regulations. So we wanted to give you all just this high-level overview of what to expect in the July meeting. Any questions, comments, thoughts?
Does that conclude the presentation, Ms. Klaus?
It does, just very high level brief. Now, Lisa will have to speak to, I'm not sure if those documents are in the binder or if that's something that's going to be shared separately.
They were included in the updated binder that I sent on, I believe, Wednesday night.
Okay, great.
And they'll start with SP for strategic planning.
Okay, thank you for
All
that,
right,
Ms.
thank
Godwin.
you.
All right, Ms. Klaus, does that conclude your piece? Uh-oh, it's muted.
Sorry about that. Yes,
go.
that is the end. Thank you all for giving the time. Most appreciated.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for putting that together. And we look forward to all getting together and having a strategic planning meeting at Morgan's Point. I hear a lot of people are excited about it, and I'm interested in learning about Morgan's Point itself, but also meeting with you all and carrying forward some planning in July. So I look forward to that, and I'm sure everyone else is as well. So thank you, Ms. Klaus, for your presentation and for your yielding to the commissioner when he arrived. We certainly enjoy hearing from him. So thanks for that.
Thank you all.
Okay, now we move on to committee reports. Gennady, are you prepared to share with us customer satisfaction needs
Sure.
assessment? So
Karen,
Mr.
Karen wanted to
Goldenstein.
go first.
Oh, did she? Okay.
happy to.
Karen is not here today. She's. Oh, are you? I'm sorry, James. Okay. Mr. Williams, go, or Dr. Williams? Please. Yes, thank you.
Okay. Oh, you got it.
Okay. Oh, thank you so much. Awesome. Thank you. Again, technology, right? We work together and we make it work. Teamwork makes the dream work. So good morning, everyone. Thank you. I'm going to apologize in advance. I'm filling in for Karen Stanfield, but I say that nobody can fill in for Karen Stanfield. So I'm trying to. She's incredible. But she asked me to share today from the policy committee just the update. And so again, first time doing this, so be patient with me. I'll try not to tell you too much, but if I don't tell you enough, let me know. I'll tell you more. So from the CSPD yesterday, Mr. McCune talked about employee recruitment and retention being a priority for the agency, also talked about it from a national perspective, mentioned about how the turnover rate pre-pandemic was about 14%, but it decreased to 6%, but then also that they noticed it coming up again. And so just concerns, they want to keep an eye on it and make sure that they're supporting staff and keeping that keeping that at a reasonable level or as best they can. They also you talked about steps taken to improve retention. So increasing starting pay for new employees, increasing starting pay for people with experience that can be hired further up the ladder, budgeted merit raises, and created another level of counselor and RA career ladder as well. So lots of great steps that are being taken there to work on that. Also, I talked about a really exciting program that I didn't know about and loved hearing about, which was creating university programs for rehab and offering paid internships with benefits for academic students coming out of master's programs. Talked about 21 per semester, a total of 42 a year, which is awesome. I'm like, man, I needed that when I went through. So that's wonderful. And also talked about a pilot in a region that was done in preparation for this. So also talked about assistance for VR's vacant caseloads. So a little bit about, I think we've talked about this earlier or previous meetings about contracting with peak performers to help with some caseload coverage and things like that, and discuss a little bit about how that's been working. They said 20 people have responded to that request. And they'll work about 130 days over that 12-month period to help with coverage and things like that. And these are Karen's notes too, so I'm paraphrasing. Let's see here. Also, we talked about, incentives for increases for RAs if they obtain a bachelor's degree, just kind of the different incentives that exist for staff in terms of, their further education and things like that. We had some discussion there. Also talked about the probation period being changed from 9 months to 6 months and how they've had to kind of pivot in some of the HR policies and procedures to match that and make sure that works. There was a discussion on a training update from Tracy Shaw. So discussed feedback regarding field training for staff and really kind of making a shift in how that's delivered. So going from 3 separate sessions, fundamentals of VR and impact policy and documentation and core essentials. Those were 1 week, 5 days and 4 days. So pretty extensive trainings. I think those were in person as well, right? So pretty extensive. Really trying to, post-COVID, rethink how can we do this more efficiently. So she discussed with us kind of how they're being retooled. Most of them are being moved to more of a self-paced format. A lot of them are being moved to also webinar formats. So they're much more accessible for individuals, regardless of their location across the state, but still utilizing the same core curriculum. So content's not getting removed, just being re-taught and kind of restructured in a different way. Talked about kind of at different points of hire, 30 days, 60, 90, 4 months, 5 months, kind of where the individual is expected to be in terms of those courses and what those courses will look like. And there was also discussion about adding a standards for providers, kind of training or discussion around that, just because of feedback that's been received on provider calls from providers regarding, feeling like sometimes the providers are having to train VR staff in policy, or that there's misunderstandings between the standards for providers versus internal policy and the VRSM. So a lot of discussion there, and training said they're also looking at that in the future as well once they roll out this initial set of courses. The plan is for that training to be completed by August, and then training via the new method once all of that is implemented and rolled out. In terms of IHO, there were no IHO decisions to review. However, there was some discussion from Ms. Stanfield regarding a new IHO that was hired, and kind of that process and that structure in terms of notification and things like that. I don't have a ton of context there. Karen definitely has more of that, but that was the big piece there. Policies regarding RSA, the attack that came out regarding prohibition of financial contributions for SSI and SSDI recipients. That was a discussion that was had as well, just what that looks like, what that means. There was also some discussion regarding issues for a medical consultant or director of VR approving VR services. Just talked about that they're still working through that with a consultant and kind of going through that process. The approvals project, there was a little quick discussion regarding just the status of that project. A lot of approvals have been looked at. I know it's from the policy committee, previous meetings as well. A lot of approvals have been looked at and been either reduced or adjusted to be less of a barrier in the process of customers receiving services, which is always a great thing. Provider payments also issues with that. So that was actually brought up by me yesterday, but it's something that we've heard from providers on provider calls as well. Disconnections between the Texas prompt payments law and making sure that those invoices are being processed and received in a timely manner. There's been a big discussion. What was asked of me, and I'm happy to do this, share that with the committee yesterday, is obtaining some examples from other providers and things, de-identifying them for reasons. So we're not focusing on the who, but more of the what, and providing that information. And so I'll be taking on that project over the next month or so, and I'll be working, I switch documents, and I'll be working on that and providing that information to Andrew. I keep switching my document. Sorry, Microsoft Word's having fun with me. And so providing that to Elsa, David, and then Andrew Ramirez also has to be provided with that information. So I will work on that. And I'm also going to reach out to the providers that have contacted us to collect their feedback. So follow-up actions, again, Scott McHugh forwarded us a paid internship flyer to the committee so we can help spread the word, which would be wonderful. I'm going to work on those scenarios regarding payment issues. A committee will submit suggestions for approval, committee in August. We had the detail of the new training program was requested. So members had asked if once things are kind of fleshed out and further along, could we see copies of, not table of contents, but copies of kind of what the curriculum looks like so we can understand what's being taught, and training said yes, they would provide that once they have that ready to go and push through. And then a conversation take place between TWS and RCT regarding how to coordinate the selection of IHOs with RCT input. And that was something that Karen said she'll continue to work on her end. That is the update from the policy committee.
I wanted to make sure everyone here was also aware that particularly the retention and recruiting efforts, as those are rolled out, those from the VR field perspective, we've had an immediate impact and positive morale boost for those that is impacted. And we are also very excited about the internship program and it's hopefully helping us to address some of the vacancies in certain areas. But I just wanted to make sure I shared that with everyone because what's being kind of talked about in the field level is definitely being heard and addressed by our leadership.
Fantastic. Any
That's
other
great
questions?
news. Thank you, Mr. Barrett. Appreciate your input on that. Dr. Williams, any more on this?
No, that's all I have, but thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, everyone.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your information and representing Karen.
I tried.
Yeah, yeah. However, she's senior member here, so I don't think there's any replacing her. We look forward to having her around for quite some time. So anyway, but thank you for your time and your input. Thank you so much. Mr. Goldenstein, would you like to go next?
Yes, please.
Okay. And I'll hand you this.
Let's see.
Mr. Goldenstein will present the customer satisfaction needs assessment information.
And since we didn't have enough PowerPoint yesterday, I'll put a few more pages up. Attendance yesterday, Amanda Bodine, Michelle Dobbins, Jennifer Klaus, Lisa Maciejewski West, and then Christopher Speckert, Scott McEwen, Audrey Russell, Anna Lee. I want to recognize two new folks helping us out, Angela Bazaldua and Summer Robinson. So big addition to the team. We have reviewed the customer sat survey results from Q2, which is January through March of this year. We took a look at the Q2 performance update. We also reviewed the results of a benchmarking that Scott McEwen led across a number of states, number of our peer states, focusing on the concept of choice, concept of satisfaction, and also we dove a little bit into the survey methods. We talked about the survey from 2 points of view. One is we have an RFP going out, and then also the response of Westat to our query on their capability and their experience with omnichannel survey. Some key highlights from our discussions. So one, we continue to look at both customer satisfaction survey and performance in parallel. And the reason we do that is we think both are absolutely crucial to the services that we provide to our customers, to the customers of VR. The way I phrase it is performance shows, did we get our customers to the right destination, to the destination they want to be at? And the customer sat shows, did they actually enjoy the journey? And both are important. If you don't get them to the right destination, we failed. And if you got them to the destination, but we got them there dragging them, with kicking and screaming, it's just an annoying, painful experience. Once again, we failed. That's why we look at both. In general, the customer sat responses, they're continuing to revert back to the 2019 levels, pre-pandemic levels, so kind of reverting back to norm. But the impact of COVID is still there. It's still real. You can see it both in performance data and in customer sat data. A couple of examples, the closed case, a couple of examples is the closure rates and the continuation of employment. Clearly, COVID took a big chunk of it. But there's some room for optimism. If you compare the rolling 4-quarter numbers to the last full year numbers, there is an uptick in the rolling 4-quarter numbers, which gives us some indication that we are on the road to recovery, right? Because the rolling 4th quarter essentially has 2 more quarters baked in. It's kind of 2 quarters ahead. So that's great. And you can see the same indication of recovery in the customer sat data. For example, the number of folks who say that they lost their job due to COVID dropped from 20.7% to 14.3%. So getting better. Same thing for the folks undergoing the VR services at this point in time. Folks who said their services were not interrupted, 69% to 73%. So signs of recovery, very, very positive. We're still missing a little bit of the insights from historical trends comparisons. That's a lot of the data, a lot of the archives that Gary Branner kind of had and kind of massaged and analyzed. Action we took, Audra, Russell, and myself will identify a small set, 5, maybe 7, maybe 3, like 5 plus or minus, of the questions where we really think the historical trends are important, and we'll basically repopulate that. I don't think we need that across all 40 questions, but 5 plus or minus a little bit is an important number for us to have to keep track of our journey. We spent a bit of time talking about the survey process and results use. Extremely informative benchmarking, 18 states, 19 programs across those 19 states. Looking into essentially 5 things. 1, this concept of choice. Do people really ask for choice of providers, or do people really ask more about informed choice in the sense of, does the customer have the right information so they can make informed choices on their program decisions? We took also a bit of a look into how other states are gathering customer satisfaction, and also how they share that information. And how they share information is interesting. It comes essentially in 3 tiers. First, sharing within the VR administration, within the VR staff. Second, how does it data, is that data, and if so, how is the data shared with providers? And then the third level, once the data is shared with providers, does it also get shared with the public, with the clients? Is there dashboards online? Is there directors online? There are some best practices there that we are going to start incorporating into our work. On the actual survey itself, as you guys recall, we want to start moving into more of an omni-channel process. So we have a contract with Vestat expiring August of this year. We can actually extend that through a variety of number of extensions up for a year. What we're recommending is leave the survey process as is while we are still under the contract, under the current Vestat contract, including any extensions necessary. We do have an RFP in play for the new vendors. We would like to incorporate any improvements both around how we do the omni-channel process and any updates to the survey questions into that new RFP. So until that RFP is complete, until we actually have a new, I'm saying new, it could be Vestat still, but until we actually have the new contract in place, let's stay with what we have. Let's not sort of make any short-term motions that are going to be kind of counterproductive. As part of the new RFP, we're going to incorporate both this omni-channel approach, and also would like to refresh the surveys. And the key here is to both keep the right number of the questions that we need to track key historical trends, but also update the surveys so we are abreast of the new technology, and we basically stop asking questions which really add no value and just basically pad out the survey to 40 plus questions, of which not all are really truly still relevant. A bit of a great development. We're going to trial a short incremental survey with the Sarah system that's actually tied to receipt of a service event. Amanda Bodine actually volunteered to help Scott trial that out. So that's going to be pretty exciting. We'll get results pretty quickly. At least results in, is there something our customers are responding to? Is there a good response rates to those really short, literally 3 questions, very targeted feedback gathering method. And then the last beat, we actually ended up with a bit of ideation on the concept of a VR portal, very similar to a healthcare portals. that, we all know. I can't say we all love, because they're a mixed bag on how they're actually carried out, but patient portals where you can communicate with your provider, records, files may be exchanged, you can look things up. So there was a thought, is there a home within VR state of Texas for a similar idea of a portal? We were not aware of any such products existing or in use. So we're going to do a bit of benchmarking across other states to see if they have any implementation experience with either a vendor or a best process or anything like that. Do any of my fellow committee members have anything to add?
I think looking at the portal idea, I think what we were kind of came to the realization of is that individuals who go to the TWC who are receiving unemployment benefits, for example, when they have an account, they log in, they can upload resumes, they can check for jobs, they can do a number of different functions, include, communicate with their TWC, with their workforce representative who's helping them, find jobs and so on and so forth. So, then kind of the little light bulb moment of, well, why don't we have this in VR? Why don't VR customers have a similar platform to be able to engage with their VR representative and look for services, look for service providers, maybe even have a live chat feature, where they can log in and there's a live chat feature, and maybe, I don't know, different regions man the chat at certain periods of time to be able to answer basic questions. So, one of the questions was, do the customers receive a callback from their VR counselor within 24 hours? And that was on one of the lower sides. It was, around 70%. Well, that's a C, in most grades. So, so what if there was a platform where they could log in and then go to a live chat and have basic questions answered, essentially by anybody who knows anything about the VR services? They would have access to that customer's information and be able to answer basic questions for them. So
yeah, I mean, intuitively, it seems like there's a room for something like that, and there's a strong benefits of something.
So I guess what we were thinking about is, if there are other states that have something like this, let's talk to them and see if we can steal their technology. Instead of reinventing the wheel, what is it that they're doing and what kind of technology do they have? And, is it something that's even viable for VR services? But I think it's a conversation that needs to be open, given where we're at now with virtual services and so on and so forth. I mean, kind of everybody's got that in one form or another. You know what I'm saying? So.
Absolutely. And if I might make a request from the engine room, Daniel, in the engine room, or the AV headquarters, if you will, I like to call the engine room, asked if somebody with our large, the wide angle broadcast, if you're going to speak, please introduce yourself or say who it is that's about, that you're about to speak. Not picking on you, Ms. Jess US. This was requested yesterday. I forgot to mention this morning, but if we're going to comment, please introduce who you are so that those watching can know in the room who it is that's speaking. So thank you for that. Mr. Goldenstein.
Lisa, thanks. Yeah, great color. So we are at the early stages of data gathering on the thought of a portal.
Mm-hmm.
Any other comments, questions, or feedback, either from the committee members or from?
Roger Robinson. I did have a question on the survey, the response for a no internet access or equipment. Do we know what that question is? What's that in reference to?
Yes, so in the early age of COVID, as we were moving to more of remote administration of multiple things, we actually we added a few questions to the customer survey around, are you able to receive services? Do you want to receive services remotely? And one of the things that came with that was specifically, are you actually able to receive services because you have the right equipment? Do you have a computer? Do you have a laptop? Do you have internet connection? Do you have bandwidth? So that was the origin of the question.
And so is that question related to the customer having access?
Yes.
Or the TWC facility?
No. The customer themselves have an ability to receive things remote. So laptop bandwidth, appropriate bandwidth in their geographic area, cell phone with an internet connection, something along those lines. And it's actually a very good question, because as we move more and more into remote services, that becomes hugely relevant. The hypothesis was some folks don't want to receive remote services, or don't want to receive exclusively because they just don't want to do it, which is fair, right? But some people do want to receive remote services, but cannot, due to the physical limitations of their IT support, for the lack of a better term, right? No equipment or no bandwidth.
All right, and I just see it as that question driving down the scores to, the region, right? It's not really the regions. They're not really at fault for that issue, but it's kind of driving down their.
Yeah,
their
the rural
ratings.
areas versus urban areas. That's really what it's coming down to. That it's the age-old question of virtual world, rural areas are going to lag a little bit behind.
Lisa Majeski here. I think that, one of the things we discussed in the meeting yesterday was that this data is just what it is. It's data. It doesn't necessarily point blame. I think what it does is it points out flaws in the system, what's being done well, what's not being done well. And then from that data, we have to drill down into the why, So I think, sometimes, it's easy to say, well, it's all the VR counselor's fault, or whatever the situation is, but that's not necessarily the case. I mean, we talk about informed choice, and we know that in many cases, sometimes it's the way the question is being asked. Sometimes it's because we don't have the service providers to be able to provide informed choice. It doesn't mean that the VR counselors aren't giving that to the customer. It just means that possibly the customer doesn't have that ability due to the fact of, of there being a limited amount of service providers. I think the other thing that we talked about, and Gennady really brought up a great point in the meeting, was that we're not really asking a lot of questions in our current model of how satisfied is the customer. All right, we're asking questions. Are you getting this? Are you not getting this? Are you, what are you doing or not doing, or getting or not getting from the VR services? But it's not really addressing like, okay, are you happy with it or not? And I never thought of it that way, but it does bring up a great point as far as, when the whole title of this survey is customer satisfaction. And I think we're addressing customer needs very well, but not necessarily the customer satisfaction. And so I think, the whole idea of retooling the survey altogether is very necessary. The other thing that we talked about that I thought was, Gennady had a great idea about was was doing it at certain benchmark periods. So instead of doing the survey all at once, months and months after the customer has completed their time in the VR, they have the survey 3 or 4 questions at a time that deal specifically with the experience they're having at that time. So I feel like they would get more response, more engagement of the customers, get them while they're hot kind of, philosophy. And so I really, thought it was a very enlightening meeting yesterday. I mean, we were late, but we were all
I think
really,
we were finished early by our standards.
well, this is true. We weren't an hour late, but we weren't, But anyway, I thought it was a wonderful meeting, and I just really want to commend Mr. Goldenstein for the great work he's doing in this committee. It's just been really awesome. So
This is April Clarice. I guess I think I have a question, so I'm trying to, thank you. This is April Clarice. I guess all of these are good points, and I do like the idea of breaking up the survey. I've been thinking the last couple of days about the experience and when the consumers are unhappy or having trouble getting a hold of their counselor, or there's an issue, or they have a question. Even if at the beginning of the process, sometimes it's just a matter of giving them the right tools to get to the problem solve. So like, I don't know, like, I know they'll get the phone number of their counselor, but like, do they have, if you can't contact me, it would be great if we had the live chat. You can go here and get questions, or this phone number you can call. If I'm not available,
kind of concept.
yeah, if I'm not available, you can call me here, or, I've recently been, someone came up to me and said, they finally did hear from their counselor, but they kept trying to call them and they didn't know where they were supposed to go next if they can't get a hold of them. Or what if, and hopefully this is rare and far between, but what if there's a personality conflict, or they're not comfortable with something that happened with the counselor? How are they supposed to know what to do? Who were they supposed to contact? What are they supposed to do next? So there's lots of scenarios there that I can't get a hold of my counselor, our schedules aren't meeting, or I'm not comfortable with that, or I just have a simple question. And do they know that process on how to do that? And is it clear to them?
And if I might interject here, Ms. Voorhees, in that case, that wouldn't necessarily be a breakdown in our system or the VR system itself.
Right.
It may be a personal conflict that's as real as anything else.
Exactly.
But I hear what you're saying. That makes a lot of sense, that there need to be maybe a way they can reset and start over with, even if it's just a personality deal, somebody that they can work with.
Right. Yeah, there might not actually be a serious problem. It just might be, when you go to a restaurant or you call a call center and you're not happy, you say, I want to talk to a supervisor. Well, that's not always easy in the system. And so I think it's important before there's a problem to make it clear that if you have any problems, these are the steps you can take. And I think giving the consumers the power, you're giving them back the power to problem solve before there's a problem.
Yeah, it's important so the folks don't feel like they're just a little cog in a machine that don't know what's happening around them. Yeah, so excellent point.
This is Mark there. And there's always room to improve, absolutely. But we do try to address that deal to ensure the customers know how to contact us. We provide information for advocacy groups, chats, and brochures and things. Or if they're not comfortable, we rehabilitation assistance, and always the management of the staff level. So there's always room to improve to make sure our customers are feeling safe and served, well served, and have a line of communication. But there are avenues that we do set in place, but as you mentioned, there is room for improvement.
One thing I was going to add, and I very much agree with the folks that have talked. Thank you, April. Thank you. I'm still learning names, but is that the need for that engagement with a customer. And I was actually talking with Director Fuller a moment ago about from the field level, some of the customers that we've worked with love the rapid engagement phone line that we have here. And we've given it out to many customers, and they are so grateful. And like I've been struggling to move forward with my case. They moved it forward, and the moment I called, I got scheduled the next day. So I think, breaking down those barriers, same with the online interest. I forget what it's called, but Start My VR. Thank you. I think those are amazing agency initiatives, and I can tell you, customers love them. They tell us they love them. They're so, in the past we would say, well, do you know about VR? No. Well, how do I sign up? Well, you got to make an appointment, and then you got to go to the office. And now we said, well, start it online. I mean, it's incredible. So I can just say, some of the things that have been done really are breaking down that barrier. And I think very much along the lines of not just the survey, but what you shared earlier about, having check-ins, having a way to reach somebody. I think those are hugely crucial. One of the things that I thought about that really stuck out in my mind from Director Fuller's report yesterday is the tremendous growth in students being served by the agency, younger transition age customers. It's a lot of who we work with as well. They are digitally focused individuals. They've grown up in a generation different from all of us in this room, where not only is technology a part of their lives, it is core and central to their lives. And so they expect digital tools, they expect help desk, they expect online forums, they expect easy to reach phone numbers and texting and all those things. So I think that's also really important as the agency moves forward and grows that customer base. Its engagement methods have to grow as well and have to mirror that customer base and what's expected. And again, I've just seen amazing what posting one phone number and posting one online link has already done in a short amount of time. It has been incredible. And so I think I would encourage the agency and us to continue to look at those kind of ideas and really examine how we can make VR a much less better kept secret, because I know that is what we always say, right? It's the best kept secret, and everyone from around the country says it too. But how do we take that down? How do we change that? Digital tools, making the agency more accessible to the customers. So I just want to share my full support behind that.
Good. Digital natives is, that's what we call them, right? People who are born with a cell phone essentially in the crib. All right, folks, if nothing else, turn it back over to the chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Golderstein. Thank you for your report and the great dialogue about it. And I agree with you, Dr. Williams. It's interesting for those that have had to learn technology. It's kind of interesting how we're actually able to do both things, but there's a generation that is maybe more proficient on the technology side, but they may not know how to operate a pen or something. Not literally, but I mean, but we need to speak to them as well. So we need to hear them as well. So it's kind of interesting that that generational shift
period,
Yes, it's very, very interesting, and a great point to be able to serve everyone. So, and that's really our goal, to serve all our customers, and we need to recognize those that are, grew up with a cell phone in the crib. So, and I'm not speaking about a house. I'm talking about a small thing a young child lives in. But anyway, all right. Well, thank you so much for that. You all for your reports. That brings us to Ms. Giesland, who is coming to us virtually. Are you available to deliver a report, Ms. Giesland, on education membership?
Yeah. Yes. Good
Great.
morning. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you. So good morning. I am kind of, I guess you could say, in training for taking over for the membership and education committee. for Miss Bobby. So thank you, Bobby, for all your training. And I'm not for sure if I'm doing this correctly or not. So I will just kind of go through my report, and then I would be happy to answer any questions. And Mr. Chairman, tell me if I need to revise or do anything different with my reporting, since this is my first time. Okay, I'll go ahead and get started. For our reappointments, Karen Stanfill has applied for reappointment. And then we have 2 vacant positions for Lisa Majeski West and Bobby Hodges. And then our action items on that is that we are starting to recruit for those 2 positions. We've had 2 candidates that have been identified and have applied. So we're just waiting on that, which is great. And so thank you to everybody on the committee who has helped. And then our 3rd bullet point for education is we are assigning committee members to help follow up and secure presenters for our next meeting. Our next presenter, hopefully in August, will be something about ADA disability accessibility in new construction. So that's kind of what we're targeting that. If anybody has any ideas on speakers for our August meeting, we would love to hear your feedback and would welcome anything you have to share with us. And then the last bullet point that I have for you guys is our mentorship section of the committee. And Mr. Joe Powell, thank you for his ability to step up and help with our mentor and mentee program. And so he will be rolling out our mentee match program, and we will be doing that this month and moving on into August. And I believe that is all I have to report on. I welcome any questions and anything else I can do for you guys.
Hey, Lindsay, this is Bobby.
Yes, ma'am.
One of the things we want the council to know is that voting for chair and vice chair would take place in August. So we just want to put that out there so that'll be on your mind, and expect the email from Lindsay in the next few weeks regarding that. Several of us will not be eligible. So that's Michael, the Chairman Michael, myself, and Lisa, because we are terming off. All right. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Oh, and I have, I don't know if I have anything else for you guys, but I know that Bobby has been, just a quick word in for Bobby. She's been a great mentor to me and been great in transitioning and copying me on email. So thank you for that, Bobby. And then Emily, Joe, Abdi, April, thank you for your leadership as well. And Bobby, is there anything that we need to notify the board of?
Go ahead, Joe.
Here. So as far as the mentorship program and guide, we just want to make sure that all of the committees know that you are responsible to have one mentor for each committee, every committee. So that way, when a new member come on, we can also, because they might want to go to the anyone in the policy committee or whatever. So we want to make sure that those mentors are available. Okay.
Okay. And one more thing, in our breakout session, we talked about ongoing recruitment. And what we want to do is to continue recruitment and to build up a pool of applicants. So when vacancies come, that we can just pull from that pool of applicants. So we don't have to just be struggling, you know, in real time to try to fill those positions. So once we get a pool of applicants, then we'll communicate that with the appointment office. And if it's a couple of years later, then we'll reconnect with those applicants to find out if their interest is still there and communicate that with the appointment office and move forward from that point.
Absolutely, Ms. Hodges. This is Michael, the chair, and thank you for that. And I would ask all membership to keep in mind somebody that you might think would it be a great candidate to serve with us and moving forward, and you know, be a contributor. And it was an honor for me. It would be an honor for them as well, I'm sure. And I would encourage membership to keep in mind people you know that you think might be a great fit. So Ms. Hodges has done a great job, and Ms. Giesland as well, and taking over the chairmanship of this committee. And yes, Ms. Giesland, you did a fine job introducing your information. So no worries there. You did a great job. So continue with that. And we need to continue on with Ms. Hodges' passion for keeping membership full and this council filled with full membership, which they told us when we came on that it would be a challenge, and I don't know, you've made it not so much of a challenge. So we appreciate your appreciate your hard work.
It was a committee effort.
It definitely shows. So thank you for that. And as well, mentors. I wanted to reinforce Mr. Powell's request that if you would are senior member or even just mature member and would like to be a mentor, please let Joe know, because that's this program is going to be a really I believe a good program to help ramp up new members to be able to feel like they can engage earlier and quicker, and I think it's going to be a great program. So if you're willing to be a mentor on any of the committees, even two or even multiple ones on committees, please let Joe know so that he can hook a new member up with you, and that member can ramp up and get involved sooner and quicker. I remember when I came on, it took a few meetings before I felt that I was brave enough to talk. And the bottom line is we're not going to bite. So we need to be brave enough to talk earlier. So, input is very valuable from all members. So we certainly would appreciate getting them new members engaged sooner. So please let Joe know if you're interested in that, and really promote that new program that I'm really excited about. So thank you. Anything else, Ms. Giesland, or does that wrap it up?
That wraps it up for me. Thank you. I just put my email address in the chat. If anybody has any recommendations for membership, just let me know. And that concludes my report. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And again, you did a fine job. So thanks for that. Okay. I like seeing that we're a little bit ahead of schedule. And now that we've got some time to, we had the CS AVR conference that happened online a few weeks ago, I guess now. And we've got some folks that attended. Unfortunately, I was not able to attend. Karen's not here. So we've got Jennifer, James, and April. Do y'all have anything you'd like to share from what you were able to attend the conference? Oh, do you need a mic? Oh, sorry.
Awesome. And I'm remembering, this is James Williams. I'm gonna remember.
Thank you.
There we go. So I was just gonna share, we talked about this a little bit in the policy committee too, about CS AVR. I'm finally getting it right. I'm not flipping the A. One of the things I think was really powerful, and I think Dr. Fuller talked about this yesterday, but there was a presentation about staff retention. And I'm going to try to say it, quote it the best way I can, but the member that presented said, we can't just resign ourselves to staff leaving and staff, we can't just, no, that was not it. She said, we can't resign ourselves to just recruitment. We have to talk about retention. We can't just accept, we can't accept that staff are just going to leave. We need to really focus on retention. And I think that's so important. Many times, as someone who's been a provider and who's, been also a customer, counselor turnover is tremendously harmful to the process. In fact, I would argue it's probably one of the most harmful, if not the most harmful aspect for a customer, especially when a relationship is built. I had an amazing counselor and I couldn't imagine if she left. I don't know if I would have been as a successful closure as I was. But I think that's something to consider is really making sure that we don't resign ourselves to that we're really supporting staff that are here. And I think something Mr. McCune said yesterday that I couldn't agree with more is when those tenured counselors leave, you can't replace them. You really can't. I promise you, I've met some 30, 25 year. Yes. I'll do my best. Yes, I get that every time I present anything. Sure. I'll do my best. No promises, unfortunately, but I'll do my best. And so I think, just making sure that that we're acknowledging that, and that we are really focused on keeping those veteran counselors that bring 25, 30 years of experience. My counselor was somebody who had, I think, 15 years of experience when she worked with me, and that was invaluable. So I think that's so important, not just hiring, but keeping those counselors. Obviously, when they want to retire, we have to let them go, unfortunately. But it's just how that happens. But they want to retire. Why? But seriously, I think that's so important. And so I would that was one thing that stuck out to me. The other thing that stuck out to me, and I shared this with Director Furler this morning, was we know Texas and we look at the Texas lens, but we're a provider, we serve 4 different states. And so we have the I think, privilege really to see sometimes what other states look like. And it was amazing watching some of the RSA presentations about trends that have us worried here in Texas, which they should, but they're also national trends. And so I don't want to say it made me feel better. It didn't. They're not good things. But it just gave me perspective that this isn't a Texas issue. This is a VR systems issue. And there was a lot of discussion about that at the conference this year, VR systems issues. I heard that word or that phrase used several times. So I think that's important as well, perspective. I also think it's important to lean on and look at other states when they're doing great work and really not being afraid to reach out. I know, that's so crucial. I've given members here with the agency here in Texas, I've given their information on times and emails to other states we've worked with and said, hey, do you want to know about some really great autism services? You need to talk to Jennifer Hines here and then talk about what she's doing. Or, hey, you want to know about how to do pre-ed services really well? You need to talk to Erin Wilder and her team. So I think, really that collaboration aspect too of CSAVR is so crucial. And I just loved it. It was my first time I've had the privilege to attend, and I learned so much. I was reading it. I spent the next week reading all the documents and I'm still learning. So I just want to share how great that was. But again, really positive things that were learned. And I enjoyed it tremendously.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Williams, for your input and thorough explanation, and for slowing it down. We appreciate that. We appreciate that. I've got a clear picture of what speed your brain's working. So, Ms. Paul Reese?
Yes, this is April Paul Reese. I really enjoyed it. Some of the macro stuff kind of goes over my head. I've been in the IL network for a while, but I'm a little slower to learning some of the VR aspects of it. So that's been a growth for me for sure. I guess my favorite part though is going to be the reason why I do what I do with the Independent Living Network and having the honor to sit on this council. And that was the people aspect of it, watching what individual states are doing with different programs and hopefully giving ideas to other states. And then the stories, the actual testimony of actual consumers and what different jobs they did. They had a day where they had actual people with disabilities that worked in the arts, which, I mean, that's great. That's like a area like we hear about different jobs all the time, but that's not like an industry that many of us talk about. So I thought that was, I was, when I was a youth, I did music and I almost went into music therapy. So it was really close to my heart to see, see that industry get some attention and the different disabilities with the different stories and just putting a face, bringing back that human element and hearing the stories. That's always my favorite part. So, but I would also echo everything James said, but that's just my favorite part.
Okay, well, thank you, Ms. Polrees, for sharing that. Your experience at the CSAVR. And was there anybody else? I don't know, Ms. Klaus, this isn't calling you out specifically. I guess it is, but if you have something to share, great. If you don't, that's quite all right too. And I guess that concludes the CSAVR report. So thank you guys so much for your input on that. Okay, moving right ahead, we to the liaison reports. Karen isn't here today, so, and I just FYI, all of the reports are in the binder, so if you want to locate the reports, the full reports are in the binder, but I'm going to call on each member to report if they wish to highlight something within their report. Ms. Hodges, do you have anything you'd like to report for the CRP?
I got it.
All right, yes, thank you. So we had our 8th quarterly providers call last month, and I want to thank Director Fuller for speaking on that call to the providers. We are grateful for the time and effort you took to share your thoughts with us, and we hope to hear from you again. Since we are in the process of driving change and trying to resolve different issues that's been identified, we your comments was very timely. So thank you for that. So we made a change in the last agenda. And, previously we've been hearing from the CRP reps across the region. And so thanks to Director Fuller and Andrew Ramirez, we also added the regional directors or the deputy regional directors to the providers call now. And we'll be hearing reports from both the CRP rep and the regional directors. And so hopefully this drive collaboration between the two, hopefully that we're looking for change. And some of the things that have been identified ongoing is the lack of communication or timely response from the VR services staff. And so with this, change has to start from the top. And so hearing from Ms. Fuller first, so it's driving down things from the top. And so, but I was very happy to hear the report out from the regional directors and their commitment to addressing the issues in their region and in a timely response. So that's promising and exciting. So we're looking forward to seeing the outcome from that. So with that being said, that we are looking to increase that collaboration and working relationship with VR services to help provide quality and timely services to our customers, because that's who it affects when we're not working together. Some of the other things that we shared on that particular meeting, VR services did provide some updates and some training. They talked about the business transformation project, and we fully addressed that on yesterday, so I won't go into that again. We also had some training and talked about the blind premium, which was good to hear as well. And also there were some changes with the SFP Chapter 9, Assistant Technology, and for sight-related disabilities. So that was refreshing to hear as well. So there's a lot of moving parts. I know that there's a lot of things that need to be done, and you might not see it happening, but things are happening. We have a lot of small and big victories, we had already. So, but everything takes time, and we can't make changes all at once, but we are making progress. And then we also had some updates on the transition for the supported employment and also with self-employment. So I think, one of the things we want to do is continue this platform of collaboration, because the providers need to be heard, the VR staff need to be heard as well. So if we can continue to work together and collaborate, things will get better. And that's what we're pressing for, things to get better. And so there'll be a great working relationship, which will enhance the services to our customers. And with that, I have nothing else. Chairman. Oh.
Just because I was on there as well.
Oh, okay.
I just wanted to add, so two quick things. One, thank you, Bobby, for creating this amazing platform. I can tell you, Bobby reached out to me. That's how I'm here. I didn't even honestly know about the RCT until Bobby reached out to me. So not only did she recruit me, but she helped create this incredible these statewide provider meetings. And I can tell you, so thank you, Bobby, for that. And just know, I hear from providers all the time that they love the meetings. They feel so much more informed. I know I feel personally, and my staff feel so much more informed. So thank you. It's been incredibly helpful. The other thing I wanted to give you some credit for too, because of these meetings, I learned about that different regions were hosting provider forums and provider meetings. And I didn't know that was happening, but because of this meeting, I not only learned about it, I then was able to go to Tony Lawrence in Region 3 and say, hey, can we do this too? And they said, absolutely, let's do it. And we're now doing them. And I think we just did our second one. So it's also incredible just to see the power of just how things spread. And because of these meetings, it's creating more engagement across the state, and it's even going into the regions and creating more engagement in the regions. So kudos. I had to say kudos, because it's just, I've seen incredible change even in just 6 to 9 months. It's great. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hodges and Dr. Williams. We appreciate both of your input, and I would yield to the vice chair for her input on the PRN report, if you wish to embellish your report, which is again in the binder already.
Right, the report is in the binder, so I won't reread it. But I represent Partners Resource Network. We're the Parent Training and Information Center funded by the Department of Education, Office of Special Education in Texas, to help families of children with disabilities to get their educational services that they need to be successful, hopefully gainfully employed or living the most independent life they can live after they've transitioned out. And for us, we're doing what we've always done. We've been consecutively funded for 36 years, so we're not new to this process. But for January, February, and March, I just kind of totaled up some things. We did 128 workshops for parents and professionals. We held 71 clinics for families, one-on-one clinics to help them prepare for those upcoming IEP meetings in schools. We attended with families 90 IEP meetings. We also were empowered in the last grant cycle and continuing into this grant cycle to provide the same type of training and information for our youth with disabilities. Parents, and as a parent of a child with a disability, I'm not always going to be here to be that advocate. And so we have training and information around our youth. And we're getting more and more youth that are going in and leading their IEP meetings successfully, which is great. I love the ones that make PowerPoints, and then there's ones like me that show up with their hair on fire, making it up as they go. And so, however that works. But it's fun to see them do that. And we had 68 youth workshops to help those youth be more successful. And then we collaborate with anybody and everybody. So if anybody wants to know what we do, we're happy to come do that. Just in that time frame, we had 111 separate collaborations, and that's just what was in our database. What I'm really excited about, yes, we get to be here in person again, is that with our COVID reduction rates, we have once again allowed our staff to go out and do those in-person trainings. So every ESC region, and there's 20 in Texas, has at least one conference per year, symposium, conference, whichever word you want to use. In the last 2 years, they've been virtual only. This year, they are going to be in person with hybrid option. So we do know that we have a lot of people, younger parents, that are very happy attending our events virtually. And we have some that want to come. They want to be in the room. They want that network. So we're hopeful that we'll be able to provide that, meet them where they are kind of thing. So that is the plan for us. Each project, and there are 4 in the state of Texas, are putting together their Spanish language conference. We do serve families in English and Spanish, and my staff, I have a Vietnamese speaking person as well. So we do that. There's over 100 languages spoken here. So it is a challenge sometimes to work with all of our families. But we're doing that, and the Spanish conference is in native Spanish, so they're not waiting on that translation, which is very important. And then we're also doing our youth summer camp. The one on my project is going to be in June, and we are doing that in person. So we're bringing together youth to do fun things, but they're also learning that self-advocacy and some of those rules and laws just in a little bit more of a fun environment. And that's going to be in June for us. So we're returning to some of those in-person events. And we're happy to come out and collaborate with any of y'all. I know we do stuff with James all the time. Yeah. Yeah, we have our e-newsletters that go out every month. So if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to entertain those, but everything is in our report. If not, you can always email me as well if you have questions. If you're like me, the best questions are 3 a.m. when we're supposed to be asleep. So shoot them on over.
Okay, well, thank you, Ms. Vice Chair. Appreciate your sharing your report. And if anybody has any further questions, perhaps at a later date, 3 a.m, perhaps, feel free to write Ms. Cowart. She will be happy to ignore your email until the morning.
Or not.
Or not.
Sometimes you wait.
That brings us to the Silk report. Ms. Paul-Reese, do you have anything to add to the report that's in the binder?
I mean, I was just gonna summarize the report, but I could just let y'all read that. We have a couple of projects going on, including one for education and outreach for COVID. We have another barriers removal fund that the Silk is working on. What our staff will, and our staff has opportunity to go and do accessible site reviews. Finders to try to make it more accessible.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Ms. Paul-Reese. Ms. Robinson, could you pass that microphone down to her? Thank you so much.
That's probably better. I've been told my voice does not carry as loud, no
That's
matter
okay,
how loud I
thank
am. My husband might disagree. So did you want me to start over?
I'm sorry?
Mr. Chair, did you want me to start over?
No, please, go ahead.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
So that was the barriers removal fund. We are currently working on our state plan and we have a couple committees on that, working with emergency management work group to make our network so we can work on communications and resources better during emergencies. Let's see. Yeah. And then also we're doing a community case-based evaluation. So we're bringing in the disabled population to enhance our monitoring process and how that helps us plan better for that as we monitor our network. So last but not least, I just mentioned our state plan. We definitely always welcome public comment on our state plan. On my report is several ways to make that public comment. I would also like to invite everybody to our, we're currently going to do a virtual meeting in June 17th. And the beginning of that meeting will include a public comment / open discussion. And we do it very open format, open mic format. Bring anything to the table you like to discuss with the Independent Living Network. We'd love to have anyone who'd like to join that. And that's my report for today. Any questions?
Any questions for Ms. Paul-Reese? Okay, well, thank you so much, April, for your input and your report. And again, there's more information in the binder if you chose to dig deeper into that. So thank you so much for that. It looks like Ms. Robinson, who was here yesterday, is not here today. And for her report for the TEA, again, that will be in the binder. If you wish to dig into that deeper, that is in the binder, which is distributed. And that brings us to the TWIC report from Ms. Giesland. Are you available to share or add? You would like to add anything from the TWIC report, Ms. Giesland?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just I'll give you a couple of bullet points from our last meeting on March 4th of the council. We had a regular business meeting and we approved the fiscal year 2023 funding formulas for apprenticeship training programs. So we had a really good working committee meeting and put together apprenticeship brochures, apprenticeship related cost study from the Texas Workforce Commission. We were briefed on that and reviewed all that. The council also received briefings on the February RCT meeting, so I provided them a briefing of our meeting. And then after the business meeting, the council participated in a working session. And as what we did is we began developing the next strategic plan for the Texas workforce system. We drafted up language for a vision and mission statement for fiscal year 2024 through 2031, and started listing out issues, opportunities, strengths, and weaknesses, and they were presented to the council's agency partners at the listening session. So we had a really good meeting back in March, and then our council strategic planning session will begin with a facilitated session at our next meeting, which will be held June 3rd. So the Texas Workforce Investment Council is, like you guys, really getting down to business and working really hard. And those are the highlights. Details are in your binder, and I'm happy to answer any questions or take anything back to the TWIC from the RCT board.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Ms. Giesland, for adding those points to your report. Again, her full report is in the binder as well. So if somebody wishes to examine that closer. So thanks so much, Ms. Giesland. Okay, moving on. I guess we're prepared to discuss council business, and I guess we can begin this with asking for does anyone have any changes to the February minutes from the February meeting? Any changes to the minutes from the February meeting that were distributed? Okay, seeing no hands or no requests for changes, then those February minutes will hereby be approved by unanimous consent. So February minutes are hereby approved. Okay, moving forward to the budget report. Ms. Lisa G., are you available to share information on the budget report?
Yes, let me get this pulled up here. Oops. Okay, so the only changes in the budget since the last meeting is the CSAVR conference registration expenses was $850. So the balance right now is $52,483.70. And the only upcoming expenses that I see are the strategic planning coming up in July, and then the August meeting, and then that will close out the budget for this year. Okay, any questions?
Okay, well, thank you. And again, the fact that we are gloriously together again, back together, the travel expenses will begin to go up again, or at least up to normal. So we'll look for that and not be surprised by that. So those that are watching and keeping an eye on the numbers. But thanks so much for that report on the budget, Ms. Lisa G. Okay, this brings us to discussing I'd like to have a little discussion regarding the November RCT meeting that we are considering, or it'll be, will it be in San Antonio? Was that what? It's in Texas, I think. Yeah, it's in San Antonio, and there's going to be NCSAB and the CSAVR meetings, conferences will be there. And the fact that we're going to have a quarterly meeting in that time, we thought it might be a neat idea to have our quarterly meeting down there. Lisa, would you like to share a little bit more specific information on that?
Sure, I'd be glad to. This is Lisa Godwin, and I just wanted to, the reason this was brought up was prior to pandemic, the CSAVR, NCSRC, and CSAB hold semi-annual conferences, and their next place was San Antonio, and the RCT had already discussed possibly having their RCT meeting, because it follows the very next days after those conferences, in the same location, and inviting the entire rehab council to those 3 conferences, since it's here in Texas. And when we have to go out of state, which is typical, you have to ask for advance, like a year in advance, you have to put it in the budget, and there's a lot more to it than being in state. So it'd be a perfect opportunity for the entire RCT to attend those 3 conferences, and it'll be their first back in-person conference as well. So,
And a way for Texas to be heavily represented
Yes,
in the state when we're hosting the NCSAB and the conferences, I think would be a great thing. So.
and that has been the experience, to my knowledge, is this, whatever state it's located in, that RCT or SRC typically does, majority of the are invited, or a lot of them do attend. So we just thought it would be a great opportunity for Texas to have that representation, and again, for the entire council to get to experience attending those conferences, because usually only 2 people get to go because it is out of state, and then to follow up the RCT meeting in the same location, if that's possible. Of course, that all depends on contracts and those kind of sort of things with the hotel. But if that's possible, we would like to just open that up, I guess, for discussion if you're wanting to do that.
Absolutely. I would like to do that. And what are the factors that we're working with here as far as, what needs to be discussed? I mean, how many people would like to go, or is there going to be an increased budget that we're going to need to request or something like that? What are the parameters of the discussion really?
So I don't have my computer in front. So I don't have my computer in front of me, but maybe someone can verify with me. But I believe it's, Lisa, Carrot, you have them?
Yeah, it is October 29th to November 2nd is the NCSRC and CSAVR. And then the Rehabilitation Council meeting was scheduled, or is scheduled, for November 3rd and 4th. So it'd be the whole week instead of just those few days.
Yeah. And I mean, it's not that you would have to attend, but you would have that option and the opportunity to. And then if you don't attend the first 2 conferences, then you can still come to the Rehabilitation Council normal meeting.
Well, this is Michael, the chair. So I mean, now that we're having in-person and, virtual attendance for these meetings, I mean, clearly it could carry forward as normal, and people that are attending virtually would just attend virtually. But I guess this is almost kind of a request to heavy attendance. It would be great if we could have let's say most of the council present for the conferences and the meeting, right? Is that kind of the, because I mean, being virtual and in person now, everyone can attend, no matter where it is, but the fact that it's going to be in San Antonio, it would be great if a lot of members would be willing to attend both conferences plus the meeting.
Correct. And as far as the logistics of how the RCT meeting would be ran, again, that's kind of why I would need to kind of know pretty quickly if that's something you guys would like to do. So I can go ahead and get conference and planning from TWC involved to see what the logistics of having the video and the audio, is that something we can bring, or is that something we have to contract out? There's a lot of details that is behind the scenes that I'm not even involved in, but I do need to get started preparing for if that's something we want to do.
Mr. Chairman, may
Please,
I
Ms.
just
Fuller.
offer a couple of things? First of all, your colleagues at the Texas Workforce Investment Council have used this approach before, and sorry for the record, Cheryl Fuller, because the council has met in conjunction with the State Workforce Conference a number of times in the past. And just for your consideration, members, that's a long time for you to be away from your primary responsibilities. Certainly it's great if you can, but a lot of members can't spend that much time away from their primary duties. What the council has done, TWIC has done in the past, is they've had the meeting right before the start of the conference, and they've had a meeting like an abbreviated meeting, like in 1 day or 3/4 of a day, and that's been a real ease on members' schedules and travel time. And so it's just one thing for your consideration is maybe adapting your meeting schedule so that it is easier on members to attend, maybe do it before, after you attend long conferences. You know, we all have a great time and I really hope we can show up strong, but we're kind of tired after a long week of
Right.
conferences. So I'm excited about this, but I just thought I would offer that and also let Lisa know that we're here to support her if there's anything we can do with conference planning. I know
Absolutely.
CSAVR's contract with the hotel there in San Antonio has been in place for a while because we were supposed to be in San Antonio in 2020. And so they've already got that locked in. So our need would be to figure out what we can do either prior to conference start or after conclusion. So we're here to help.
Well, in my experience with the last conference, thank you. This is April Pulries. My experience with the last conference that we just talked about actually was, I believe, the end, and I don't know which, we're talking about multiple conferences, it sounds like, but my experience was the last day of the conference was their business meeting. So if we did our meeting before the conferences, then people who didn't need to stay for that, you know, some of those sessions like their business meeting, they wouldn't have to stay an extra day to wait for our meeting. So like, I think it would depend on like conference schedule too. Like it might, as you suggested, it might be better to do it before the conference because of that.
Okay, thank you for that, Ms. Paul-Reed. Just notes for you, Ms. Gowan, and maybe some further discussion. I think also a couple of things to consider from the chair's perspective is there will be a new chair for that meeting, a first meeting for that chair. So I can tell you that they will be pretty nervous chairing that first meeting. So perhaps the 2 or 3 following, as I was, but you know, that'd be something to consider. You know, an opportunity on one level to present, but then a chair and vice chair will be kind of running the meeting for the first time. So that's something to consider. Nothing, no grand long-term damage could be done. So it's nothing to be ultimately scared about, whoever the new chair and vice chair might be, but just something to consider. What was the other thing I wanted to consider? I guess that was it. Is there any more input or comment?
This is Lisa Majeski.
Sure.
Is the question, is the NCSRC CSAVR meeting also going to be hybrid or is it just going to be in person? Do you know?
This is Lisa Godwin, and I do not know that information yet. I had just pulled up to make sure that I had the dates correct and the location and that it was going to be on site, but I'm not sure.
So are they as sophisticated as us? Is that what you're asking? Don't know.
I'll find out.
Just saying, doing a little bragging here. We're doing a little bragging here. We're doing a great.
That's right. This is Cheryl Fuller, and I will find out for you members. And we have not discussed details of the fall conference yet, but there is an executive committee meeting in July in Indianapolis. And I know we'll be talking about conference planning at that time, but I'll see if I can find out something before then.
That was my other point that I was going to make. Thank you, Ms. Fuller. And the other point I was going to make is, being that we are as sophisticated as we are now, are we able to do present a hybrid meeting, broadcast hybrid meeting in that remote location? I mean, is that will be, I guess, our 3rd time into doing it, and will we be able to have equipment, mobile and staff, you know, engine room staff and what have you, ready to go to do that? Is that something that we need?
Good question. So this is Lisa Godwin again. That is part of the reason why I would need to know as soon as possible if this is something we're wanting to do and what dates we're wanting to do. I have talked with the people that have helped produce this today. I talked with them yesterday, and some other questions came up, like that I didn't think about from, because I haven't done this before with the hotel before. So they're like, the hotel may not allow us to bring our own equipment. So maybe that may be something they already have in place. And then something that popped in my mind, just as a thought, that maybe we might have it at one of the the TWC offices in San Antonio that is
I was just
equipped
going to say that,
and
yeah.
for the RCT meeting.
Oh,
But
that's a
just
good
it
idea.
could still be in that same hotel, hopefully, if there's room, and then we can get the contract, and then, so you're not having to move around for the other conferences.
Yeah,
So
those
that was,
conferences, I mean, I've been to a couple, I think, but they tend to use all the rooms. They fill those hotels up, right? So that may be an issue about rooms available in the facility, to be honest. But anyway, so yeah, that's important that the one thing that I wanted to get down is, I mean, do we need to set, this is a discussion that we're having, and I appreciate everybody's input. We need to know, for your sake, Ms. Godwin, that deadline. When do you need to know? Because we need
today?
Well,
I don't have
I know you would like to know in about 5 minutes, but realistically,
Jack back here is really stressing out. No, he's like, I don't do out of state or out of TWC offices. No, I'm joking. So I would say as soon as, realistically, if I can know by the end of next week would be terrific.
all right.
I can go ahead and give conference and planning a heads up that it's a possibility, but I also don't want them to do that and then us decide not to do it. I don't want to be flip flopping, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Let's, decide and then move forward, or decide not to and move forward with a different plan.
What if we just, you stole my words, April.
What?
You stole my words, girl.
Oh, great
No,
minds.
you go right ahead.
Great minds and all that.
That's right.
Sorry, so I guess I just jumped in there. We could do a Survey Monkey on both. Are you interested in going to San Antonio for the RCT meeting? Are you interested in going to the conferences? And if so, these are which dates? And then you just mark the dates, and then they select which dates they can make.
I guess the real question is, are you, as a member, are you willing to travel and be on site? Because we will ask that you be present in the meeting virtually if you're not going to be on site in San Antonio, obviously. But so I guess the only real question is, are you willing to go, or are you interested in going to the NCS or the conferences? And then if you're a no on that, you'll be at the meeting virtually or in person if you wish. But I guess the encouragement is, if you would be interested in coming to the conferences, we'd like to have you there and then stay for the meeting if time allows, right? If you could come to the conferences but can't stay for the meeting, go home, and then we'll hope that you can be on the meeting virtually, right?
So I guess this is Lisa Godwin again. To try to simplify things, I'm guessing the best thing for me to ask is, number one, do we want to invite the entire RCT Council to attend the 2 conferences? That's number one, I would think. And if that answer is yes, then I can go ahead and move forward with sending those invitations and getting those people registered. And then, so that would be the first question. And the second question is basic to me, in my mind, is that do we want to hold the RCT November meeting in San Antonio? That's really the two major questions. And then I'll figure out the logistics from there. And then which dates do you want to hold the RCT meeting? That's the 3 questions.
And then we could, this is Michael, the chair, and Ms. Godwin, thank you, by the way, for announcing your name every time you speak. You're doing a fine job. We appreciate that. But it sounds to me like we might need to do the Survey Monkey first to get an idea who wants to do what, right? And then get that list of who's, because you won't register everybody. You'll register people that say, yeah, I'd like to go to the conferences. Because
Correct, because there is a charge for
They
registration.
each cost X amount of dollars that we don't like wasting the state's money. So certainly want to do that prudently.
So do we want to offer, so we are going to offer, or you're wanting to offer the conferences to all RCT members? Is that what I'm hearing? So that I can go ahead and send and say, if you want to attend the conference?
I
let
think
me-
so, yes.
Okay, so the number one question is yes.
That's that.
Okay.
And then,
And-
I mean, I guess you could send an email out, I guess, offering that, and then whoever, you get a tally of those who are, want to attend. Again, we encourage it because we want to have a good showing for Texas being the host.
And then once you're signed up for registered for the conference, then they have a block of rooms, hotel rooms. So you will have your hotel room for the conference. We wouldn't be an added problem there, or cost, or I don't have to go to conference and planning or anything like that, because that's through the conference. So where I would go through conference and planning would be for the RCT meeting. So
like let's say, how long is the conference? Usually 3 days, probably 3-4 days. I can't remember.
I want to say, I'm sorry, my battery doesn't work on my computer anymore, so I have to leave it plugged in. If I
no.
unplug it and bring it over here, I have to reboot.
No, it's okay. No.
Cheryl Fuller. And so I think NCSRC usually meets the Sunday before CSAVR begins. Is that correct?
I believe so.
So I don't think they actually meet on a Saturday. So if you're interested in meeting prior to the CSAVR meeting.
Y'all write these dates down, because you'll receive an email, but what Ms. Fuller's about to tell us is the block of time. So y'all write these dates down. I'm going to do the same, and that we can check our own schedules. So when we receive that email from Ms. Godwin, we can answer it. Thank you.
That's right. So CSAVR has their conference, their fall conference, October 29th through November the 2nd. So that means, and that they put the 29th on there because there are some pre-conference meetings, but really what you'll see is CSAVR fully, where you would attend, will be October 31st, November 1st and 2nd. That's a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. NCSRC would then meet on the 30th. So members, if you wanted to meet the day prior to NCSRC, you would meet on Saturday, the 29th, and then members could stay as they're available for NCSRC and then CSAVR. If you wanted to meet after CSAVR, you'll want to be aware that NCSAB begins meeting Wednesday, like at 1 p.m. CSAVR will adjourn by noon. And so you might not want to go on top of the NCSAB meeting with your own meeting.
That's right.
So there are actually 3 conferences: State Rehab Councils, CSAVR, then NCSAB. And so that would take you from the Sunday all the way through the Friday. And Mr. Chairman, you and Ms. Majeski West have done that before. You know that commitment of time. So that's what you want to keep in mind. If you want to meet the day before NCSRC, that's Saturday, October 29th. And then if you wanted to meet after, your decision point is, do you want to meet after CSAVR, but during NCSAB?
I'm sorry, what is that one?
So CSAVR traditionally ends by noon on Wednesday. So it's all day Monday, all day Tuesday,
That's
half day
the national.
Wednesday. Yeah, that's the National Association of State VR Agencies. And then our sister association of the National Council of State Agencies for the Blind begins their meeting at 1 p.m. if they do it as we used to do pre-COVID. And then they go through Friday midday. And so that's the key decision point, is if you meet after CSAVR, then you could be meeting on top of the NCSAB meeting. And you may want to give some thought to it, whether you'd want to do that versus meeting prior.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Fuller. My experience, and jump in here, Ms. Jessie West, if you feel so inclined, but And we certainly want to address as many disability conferences as are offered. But what I found in Jacksonville, at least, is there was some overlap that seemed that there was some, redundant information, or maybe even some lightly attended part of it that others felt the same thing. I don't know.
Well, yes, that, and if you attend all of them, by the time, for me, by the time I got to NCSAB, my brain was just mush. And my retention of what what was the content of that meeting was pretty diminished by that. Frankly, for me as a rehab council member, the NCSRC is probably the most relevant to what we do as a council, okay? Because this is the National, Rehab Council Association meeting.
The other
So-
states are
so
all in the
other
room.
state
Yeah.
rehab councils are there. There's a lot of exchange of ideas and what do you do? And, you really kind of, that was, for me, that was very dynamic. And then probably the first 2 days of the CSAVR, especially with the discussions from RSA and some of the, what's coming down the pike, very, very interesting. But like I said, after a while, it all does start to run in one into the other, and it may be that certain council members may be more interested in going to, let's say, NCSRC, and then going to the last one, which is the NCSAB, if they have the blind and visually, for those who are blind, visually impaired, because that's going to be more relevant to them, So I don't know, and I think part of it is just going to be geographic. I think it's possible that, for example, maybe you consider doing, because I won't be there, but neither will Chairman Ebler and Ms. Hodges, but maybe consider even doing the meeting here in Austin the Friday prior to, then going down there on Sunday to San Antonio. You know what I'm saying? So
Perhaps, but I think it would be.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And it would be great to be able to have a meeting freshly following the conferences. Certainly would be a lot of input from different people that attended a different meeting room and be able to share that.
But I kind of needed a week just to process. Really, just to process everything and get it down and,
Well, that's because you feel the need to include every single thing that went into your head in your report, which is great and all, but holy cow, you've got a big brain.
So anyway, but yeah, that was my perspective on the whole week. I do agree with Ms. Fuller that I think that trying to do a council meeting after would be a lot. Would really be a lot mentally for everybody to handle, especially if they stay the whole week for the three back-to-back meetings.
Well, maybe then what I hear you saying, and on a real world concept, I think you're right, that it just may be to the point where the meeting, our quarterly meeting would almost just be, God, I don't want to be here. Let's just get through this, and it not be really a good, solid, effective meeting, and half of us may fall asleep in it. Who knows? But maybe that is maybe it's just too much to try to cram together. Maybe it's just a dream thing that would in theory work great, but in practice, is that what I hear you saying?
No, not at all. I think it would be great for the council to meet just prior to the meetings, have a Saturday meeting, and then, for those who travel, they get a chance on Sunday to see a little bit of San Antonio, get a little bit of relaxation and then hit the meetings. And then those who want to just go to NCSRC can go just to NCSRC. Those who want to go to NCSRC and CSAVR and NCSAB can stay the whole week or drop out at any given point.
I see. So
you know.
not put our quarterly meeting at the end, which is likely to be more committed to be attended.
Mhm.
The others would be the conferences would be.
Yeah,
well,
find a venue down in San Antonio, whether it's the hotel or a
Yeah.
TWC office or Wonderland. I don't know if they're open even in November, but they've got meeting rooms. So, obviously.
Yeah, and the fact that we would go down beforehand means that they're actually the hotel that we would be in will probably have rooms available, to be honest.
Possibly.
Well, and Mr. Chair, just a recommendation. I don't want to take us back a step after getting back from
No, please,
COVID,
it's important we
but
know. Yeah.
just a suggestion. If some people may not want to meet on the weekend or what have you, or maybe it's just a lot. An option would be to do the conference trip, just the trip being just for conferences, and then just this once, or we could do a hybrid meeting a week, push our meeting a week back to like the 11th.
So this is Lisa Godwin again. I'm going to intervene real quick. Once we get past or starting at CSAVR, there's literally no time on the calendar because then TWC conference comes in at the end of November. Then we have Thanksgiving and then we have Christmas. Just things just really start popping. And if we push.
Well, we could do a virtual meeting either way. Like
we kind of got into that.
We could
last
do
year.
a virtual meeting instead. We could do a virtual meeting and then leave all the travel for just conference.
So what I hear you saying is if we move our quarterly meeting, it's going to need to go at least the day prior to or a week prior to the conferences is what I hear.
Right. I'm going to speak up real quick again. This is Lisa Godwin. I like the idea that Ms. Fuller proposed about doing this Saturday. Again, this is the first time I've had a chance to talk to everyone about it. So I'm processing a lot more information and thoughts are popping in my head. I know that a lot of you do have jobs and you're volunteering as RCT members. So that Saturday might be a better option for the RCT meeting because like she was saying, it's not pulling you away from your job. If we do it after the NCSRC, CSAVR, then you're there for the whole week. You're Monday through Friday, you're away from your jobs. But if we do it the Saturday before and just do a one day, we could do the committee meetings, maybe like at a different time, possibly. That's something that definitely could be pulled out of our normal meeting time. We could not have a speaker that time. We could not do training. So there's a lot of things that can be pulled to make it just a one day.
Into one day.
Condense it to one day, just Saturday. And then, like she was saying, if they just want to attend just the meeting, they can attend the meeting and go home if they don't want to do, because they're going to have to come to Austin, either Austin or San Antonio. They're going to have to travel. Most everybody is.
Or maybe hybrid.
Or yeah, and definitely plan on it. Still plan on doing it a hybrid.
That's
It's definitely
right.
still the plan.
That's always an option.
Yes. So, and then those that want to stay for the NCSRC, which I do agree that is the most important because that is the State Rehabilitation Council National Council. So that's where you're going to get most of your input and connections and with other states about what their councils are doing. A lot of input and great information. And then if you want to stay for CSAVR, then you can. And then, so I think that's a great plan.
Yeah. So the Saturday meeting.
Yes, sir. And just do a one-day meeting. And
do we need to send out a survey monkey, or have we just had a survey monkey?
It's totally your call.
Mr.
yes,
Chairman. Oh, no, go ahead.
Sure, Ms. Dobbins. There we go. Oh, it was on.
It went away.
There we
Okay.
go.
So the Saturday meet, I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to travel all those days. San Antonio for a blind person's hell to get through and work through. So I'm either going to, and so if we do a Saturday, I'm going to do it virtually.
Mr.
that's
Chairman,
every
that's,
group
yeah, that's
separable.
what I was gonna say is that if we do the Saturday meeting, you may find that most people will want to do it virtual because they'll just want to stay home, do their Saturday meeting and then travel in on a Sunday. Or if all they want to do is go to the NCSAB, they may travel in later on in the week and just go to one segment of that meeting. So
Well, thanks to Mr. Robinson's motion a couple of mini meetings ago, we have the option to visit our virtual,
Do we know where
our
the hotel-
quarterly
yeah, I
meetings
don't know where the
virtually,
hotel
and are
is.
welcoming a few members virtually as we speak. So, Ms. Bourne, that might be,
I'm sorry, I was thinking, do we don't know, do we know the hotel where it's gonna be?
Hilton Hyatt. Oh, you're right.
Which
I'm
is-
thinking of our
I'll have
meeting.
to- oh, the-
I think it's the JW Marriott.
I don't know. Oh, well, anyway.
yeah, I mean,
There's a lot of logistics that, I'm just trying to.
we
figure
totally
out
get it. We
things.
totally get it. And we want to make sure that we're sensitive to everybody's logistical plan or burden.
July is hard enough. much
Completely.
less.
Yeah, no, I get it. So, but if it is too much and San Antonio is not a friendly place for the blind to go to long meetings with, several days, whatever, we have the virtual option. So that is something that,
Yeah, that's probably what I would, that's probably.
and we would welcome you to be present either way, as long as you're there one way or the other. We'd love to have you there one way or the other, but virtually would be fine. I mean, and that also may, half or more of the council may choose that because it's a weekend and they want to stay at home. That's fine. And then, make it on Sunday to begin the conferences that week. If they so choose to attend those. And we hope many will, because we want good attendance from Texas, as Texas is the host, right? As we know, when we went to Jacksonville and I learned quickly that Texas, Texas, New York, California, Ohio, Florida, they kind of do what we say. Or let's just say they listen to us well. We appreciate the wisdom, little heavy load responsibility, but it's important to get things right. So we're gonna be in Texas, and that's exciting for us to be able to present our full wisdom of our council at that conference. Will be neat. So we do encourage people to go. But so is that what we've come up with? Is have the meeting on Saturday, condense it to a one-day meeting. Virtually is fine, because that's what option we have out for everyone at this point in time, starting this meeting. And then whoever wishes to choose to attend the conferences, welcome to, and we would appreciate as much attendance as possible.
Yeah. Okay, that sounds great. This is Lisa again. So I just want to confirm. So we're going to go ahead and just move forward then with inviting all members to the 3 conferences. We're going to move the November RCT meeting to San Antonio, and I'll work the logistics and let you guys know for sure and we're going to do it one day only, hybrid meeting on Saturday, October 29th. Are we in agreement in that? I can go ahead and move forward.
Anyone have any input on that? Okay.
All right.
I think
Great.
we're moving forward. No, I think that's a great plan. And with the virtual option for the meeting, everyone can attend, whether it be from their comfort of their desk or in person in San Antonio.
Right. And I will between Ms. Fuller and I will find out if the other 2 conferences or 3 conferences will be offering a virtual option as well, because I don't know yet, but we'll find that out as well.
Now, there are some members that are on with us virtually right now, and I don't want to ignore them by any way. I mean, if there's anyone online that wishes to speak up or chime in on any of this, Ms. Giesland or Ms. Klaus or anybody, and please feel free. You're definitely part of this meeting and we don't want to exclude you. So speak now or forever hold your peace, but we certainly would love to hear from somebody if they have more input on this.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is Lindsay Giesland, and I'll be honest with you, if it is even if it's virtual or in person on a Saturday, I probably will not be able to attend either option due to having a child at home who will be requiring my attention. So, and I assume you guys don't want children in your board meetings. So
No, I perfectly understand and appreciate that. And I, we understand that the Saturday is different for many families and people's personal schedules. And if you were not able to attend because of that, we perfectly would understand that and not hold it against anybody that had a Saturday plans and we're not able to attend a Saturday RCT meeting. We completely understand that. That goes for no matter what day of the week it's on. But when we appreciate your input, Ms. Giesland, but if it were something where you wouldn't be able to attend, we would certainly miss you. But we feel this is a pretty powerful series of events that we could do together. And now that we're able to do virtually online, that it really enables that to open it up to do, if people are willing to volunteer on a Saturday. So we would appreciate it. As we know, we won't be there, or those of us that we'll be kicked
Well,
off by then. But
Chairman Ebler, this is Lisa Majeski. The
Yeah.
only thing that I do think that does bring up a point of, we do need to make sure enough members can attend to reach a quorum.
of course,
Yeah, so I think that RSVP for the council meeting is going to be very important, because if we can't get a quorum for Saturday, then there may have to be a plan B for that.
that's a
Very
great
true.
point. That's
Yeah.
a great point. So we're gonna need to, should we do an email or Survey Monkey?
Email's fine.
Email's
Yeah.
fine.
I'll send out an email. I'll wait until Monday. I won't do it. Maybe I should do it right now while it's fresh on everyone's mind. And ask if you're available for Saturday meeting on this date, and then we'll determine if a quorum can be met.
Yeah,
Okay, I'll send that out today. So if everybody will just respond to my email, let me know if you're available. on
that
a
would be
Saturday.
great.
Yeah,
That's
either virtual or on site, either way.
I think that would be great. And again, we're just asking to do it on a Saturday is quite an ask, and we certainly appreciate it. Of course, but as Lisa G pointed out, following the conference, not a possibility. Getting into the holidays, starting the holiday season at that point, and I guess TWC conference. And so that we've got to go ahead prior to it, and that Saturday would be an optimal day to do it. And if people aren't able to do it, then we'll hope to have a quorum and carry forward. But you'll receive an email from Ms. Godwin. Just please reply and let her know whether that Saturday will work for you or not. And we'll condense the meeting to one day. Okay, great. Well, that wraps that up. I think we've got a good kind of a preliminary plan together that could be real effective and have good attendance for the conference. That would be pretty cool. And I would encourage people to go to the conference. My gosh, I don't speak for Ms. Majeski West. I learned a lot and gained a lot of information from some different perspectives from some other states too. That was very cool to kind of see what they're doing. And while we are independent states, and there is this little competition between each other thing. We are the United States of America, so that is nice that we can get information from other states and utilize them in a positive way in our states. Now, being a proud Texan, I'll say typically they're taking our information and using it, but you know, there might be something we can pick up from somebody else. So no, it's great. But okay, thanks everybody for that discussion and contributing to that. A lot of great information and input on that is really helpful, whether it be in the room or virtually. So thank you all so much for contributing to that. Okay, I guess that pretty much wraps up our new council business. So that brings us to a wrap up here. So one thing I would ask members to remember that now that we're back in person, we have a table of goodies over here that is it's funded by contributions from us. So if somebody would be so inclined to, I'm going to give Miss Godwin some, a little bit of money, just $5, $10, $20, just to kind of give her the power to be able to supply our table with the goodies that we have, the snacks. If people have the ability to do that, we certainly would appreciate that, to give Miss Godwin some money for our drinks table and snacks. The other thing I wanted to mention was to thank everybody for pulling this together. This was a great virtual hybrid meeting and broadcast meeting. We're grateful to have all of you online watching from around the state, this grand state we have that's difficult to show up in person. So we're glad to be able to use these electronic medium to get this out to you all, so you can participate and have some interest in what we're doing. And I want to thank Lisa G for all your hard work in preparing for this. This has been at work, and you did a great job. We went virtual, had to do the COVID virtual scene, and that was quite a challenge to keep up with from remote location, and you did a fine job that. So we appreciate so much your hard work and input and making that work, as well as then we asking you to shift gears. Now we're actually going to go in person now, and we're going back into person. We're going to shake hands, hug, and I'll broadcast all that virtually. And you're like, oh my gosh. So thanks so much for all the hard work that you did for that. And that goes for, the engine room, Daniel, and back there, keeping the AV going, everybody else in the room. I don't know everybody's name, so please forgive me. And then of course, Vice Chair Cowart, thank you so much for your help in pulling this together. You assumed your new vice chair position in the middle of the COVID fog. So you pulled it back into the in-person and with fine grace. So I appreciate that. And of course, Ms. Fuller and your team, Scott, thank you all so much for everything that y'all do to help support this advice that the council gave, that we go virtual and in person. So we really appreciate your participation in that. It was key, and without your will and to do it, we wouldn't be able to do this. So we're able to virtually and online give Texans the ability to attend our meetings. So we thank you so much for participating in that. So with that, before we adjourn the meeting, does anybody have any input or questions?
I have one question or one comment. We did discuss, I believe, we're going to go ahead and do August meeting back here again, if it's available, is my understanding. I haven't checked on the availability yet, but we're going to see how it worked out, and it looks like it worked very well. So
I think it worked. Yeah.
August, since we don't have our remote equipment yet, and that's still in the process of being looked at and determined what's the procurement process and getting bids and those sort of things. So I think that our best option for August is to return back here. And if that works for you guys.
I think this was a great place to have it. You know, I think maybe through the COVID, some of us may have even forgotten where we used to have our meetings. Remember, we were all kind of in love with that building, wanted to go back so badly after COVID. It's like, okay, this one will work.
And then one last comment, for those of y'all that are here in person that traveled, if you will, just get all of your receipts together and send those to me. And by email, you can just scan them, take a picture with your phone, or whatever works for you. Just get those emailed to me, and I'll get your travel prepared, and I'll send that to you to sign off on. And you can do that just by email. You know, you can just type your name in as long as it's coming from your email and send back to me, and then we'll get you reimbursed for your travel.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, anyone else? Okay, well, with that, thank you all so much for helping get together, and we're back together again as a team. I love it, and we are virtual, we're online, we've moved, I believe, very far forward. This COVID, which was, you know, a social health nightmare, and we certainly, prayers and thoughts go out to anybody that struggled or unfortunately perished. We certainly do have sympathy for everybody in that suffered that. But in a strange way, it helped us move forward into this new broadcast format, and for that, I'm grateful. And I think that it will serve the VR community better moving forward. So however painful it was, it's helped us move forward. So let us do that. And with that, thank you all so much for coming. That wraps the meeting. We'll adjourn the meeting, and I hope everyone safe travels home, and have a great rest of the year. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.